we gon' smoke that Reggie Bush. And I'm with two women, make you take a second look. We poppin' like champagne bottles, but we never shook.
You would wanna put your number twos in the air if you did it on them.
Hey guys, Tez here, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a rant because I'm going to be talking about my experience in community pharmacy as a pre-reg student. Now, I did speak a little bit about my experience in community pharmacy on my pre-registration tips video, which I will link up there, but I've had a few people DM me asking what it was really like because they're not enjoying it, so I just wanted to sort of highlight some of the not so great aspects just so you know that you're not alone, and I went through it but I'm still here grinding and shining, so you can do it too. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure you guys know by now that I did the Bradford split course where I did 6 months pre-reg in a hospital and I did 6 months in a community pharmacy. Now I picked a big chain because I thought that would give me more opportunities to learn and I would have protected study time and it would be better for my development, as I was anticipating that the program would be a bit more structured. Now I went into this with really high expectations because I did hospital first, so I had really high expectations of what my role would be, and I thought I would get stuck in, get to do lots, and there would be the same pressure that I'd experienced when I was a pre-reg in hospital. If you guys are my OG subscribers, then you know that I did used to record myself when I was actually a pre-reg in hospital, and I used to talk about my rotations and stuff, and basically my intention was to do a follow-up when I did community pharmacy. But to be honest, my time as a pre-reg pharmacist in community wasn't the best, and there was a time when I was actually a little bit depressed, so I didn't really feel like standing in front of a camera and telling you guys about the experience because I didn't want to put anyone off. In hindsight, it might actually have been beneficial to do that because it seems that everyone goes through similar things but no one really talks about it. So hopefully this video helps you out if you're kind of struggling, just so you know that you're not alone. So my biggest shock when I started was that I wasn't treated as a pre-reg pharmacist. I wasn't even treated as a pharmacy technician or a dispenser. I was basically the counter assistant. Now, it is good to spend some time over the counter just to learn what the minor ailment scheme is about and to learn to talk to patients and give them recommendations and just build that rapport. But because I had a job in a community pharmacy previously, I was already aware of these things. And I felt that the training wasn't personalised to me because I feel like it would have been better to ask me what I've done and where I am and to gauge where to start my training. So I was a counter assistant for a very long time and I had to push to be able to start dispensing even. So it was a bit disheartening because you go to uni for a very long time and you feel that you have the skills but you feel that your skills are not being utilised. So that was really hard for me, and not all of the patients were nice all the time, to be honest, and sometimes I used to take that personally because I just felt like an imposter basically. I was like, oh, maybe like I'm not as good as I think I am. I mean, I know I'm better, but at that moment in time I just felt really disheartened. Even though some patients are not very nice, you don't know what they're going through, and sometimes you're the punching bag and it comes with the profession. No, it's not okay, it's not acceptable, but you just have to accept that that's part of the job. Like, some people will disrespect you, some people were racist to me, but you just have to keep going because at the end of the day it's a reflection on their personality, not you, and as long as you're courteous and kind, then that's all that matters. And also, whilst we're on the counter assistant thing, I wouldn't have minded so much, but my tutor made me go explain every single scenario to him before I gave any advice. So if a patient came in and they had a headache and I went through the warm questions or whatever they're called now, he would then want me to go to him and tell him what the patient had and what my advice would be, which I guess in the beginning was fine, but by week 3, if somebody has a headache and I give them paracetamol, it just felt like I wasn't being given any responsibilities, so it was very awkward and very annoying for the patients for them to tell me their problems, and then I would have to go relay the problems to my tutor, who most of the times had heard what the problem was, so he could have just said, what's your recommendation, but you know, it is what it is. So that was a bit frustrating for me, not being able to give advice for a very long time. So after the first month, when I started spending some time in the actual dispensary bit, I then quickly realised that all I was going to do was dispense. So I dispensed. I would print off repeat scripts, dispense, go to the surgery, come back, dispense, check the fridge log, dispense, do the CD check, dispense. My tutor wouldn't let me dispense any methadone until the last month I was there, which at the time was very annoying for me because all my colleagues and my uni friends were all dispensing methadone, and I just felt that that was a skill that I could have gained but I wasn't being allowed to. I also didn't start checking until month 6, so I did my checking log after I'd done my pre-reg exam. And I remember, so I think part of your evidence is you have to prove that you've checked, and my tutor didn't want to sign that off, which I found odd because I wasn't given the opportunity to start a checking log, and I kept asking and I was told not yet. So it just felt very, well, how can I get that competency if you won't let me practice? I don't know. I think I've already said this before, but initially I wasn't allowed a day off for my exam and a day off for graduation because there was already other members of staff off, which is a bit odd because I'm not supposed to be counted as part of the staff when it comes to annual leave. I'm meant to be an extra body, but I had to fight to get those days off. I forgot to mention that my tutor actually said he agreed to take on a pre-reg because it meant he would get an extra member of staff without having to pay for them. Like, I'm here to learn, not to work for you, you know? Initially, I struggled to get study time regularly. If somebody was off or if it was somebody's not working day, then that study time got taken away from me, and I really had to escalate the situation for me to get set study time every single week, which I think is really important because you just need downtime in the pharmacy to revise. And yes, you're meant to revise at home, but it is also good to revise while you're on site in case you have any questions, which to be fair, he was never able to answer anyway, but it was just nice to have time in the pharmacy but not actually working on the shop floor. I also remember being very depressed because I was stressed about the exam. If you guys are planning on sitting the exam this year, then you know how stressful it can be, and I just remember thinking I wouldn't be able to pass because it was really difficult. Imposter syndrome was really real at that time, so you just have to push through. Like, lots of people have done it before you and lots of people will do it after, so it will be fine. Now, I know this is quite negative, but there are some good bits that happened and I don't want to end this video on a negative. So a funny thing that happened is a customer came in to buy hair removal cream, and he asked me if that would work to unblock a shower drain because his girlfriend's hair had blocked the drain and he was buying hair removal cream to unblock it. That was quite funny. And another time is a patient came in to buy cocodamol, and you guys will probably know that when patients come in for cocodamol you have to be extra cautious to make sure that they're not abusing it. And I remember asking her when the last time she used it was, and she said last month, and I was asking her so many questions and she said, I have my period every month and I need cocodamol every month, so what do you want me to do about it? And I just remember thinking, oops, like, I'm sorry sis, I didn't mean to. And I just felt so bad because I made her divulge that information, which was quite personal, and it didn't even clock in my head to think that it's a woman, she uses this every month. Like, girl, is you not a woman yourself? Do better. Some positives from this was that the team actually welcomed me in their little family, and I felt like part of the team. They were really kind, really courteous. They were happy to show me the ropes, teach me anything I needed to know, and that was really helpful. I think having a good team really makes a difference. Like, even if it's not the best place to work, if you have people with you that you're suffering with, it kind of brings you together. I think we actually went out a couple of times. They were a bit older than me, but it was still really nice. I just felt like their little daughter, and it was really cute. The store wasn't actually open on weekends, so I never had to request that off, which was I know, dreamy, because I know a lot of pharmacies are open on weekends, and sometimes as a pre-reg student you're expected to work some weekends, so I always had my weekends off, which was great. Oh, another thing is I got chickenpox. I think I've already mentioned this, and it was actually really good because it meant that I got time to revise for the exam. Even though my manager did initially want me to keep coming into the pharmacy, I'm like, you want me with chickenpox to come into a pharmacy where vulnerable people come into, kids come into, like, are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? Because this is really embarrassing. Finally, another good point is that I learned what kind of pharmacist I don't want to be, and sometimes it's good to get negative examples of the profession so you know how not to act and how not to be, and that experience has really made me a better locum, I think. I mean, I'm not the best, but I do think that I am an okay locum because of the experience that I had at that pre-reg, so I'm grateful for that. Honestly, I'm so sorry this ended up being a bit of a rant, but a few people have been messaging me, like I said, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that you're not alone. Everybody goes through this, and I have no tips about mental health because I am not a mental health expert. I do things that work best for me. You guys will have your own things that work best for you, or if you need advice, then it's always good to call someone, talk to someone, rant to someone if you have to, whatever helps you to keep going. You just have to push through and just trust that you've worked hard and you deserve this and you will get there. Moving on to the book of the video, which is The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby Dare. I know it's not good to give this message that if you work hard and you don't give up, you get there, because that's not always the case. Sometimes the world is just against you and it doesn't happen, but when it does, it's great. But yeah, basically that book is about this young girl, and she just perseveres against all odds and she ends up fulfilling her dream, I guess you could say. If you want a book that makes you go through a lot of pain before you get to the good bits, then I definitely recommend this book. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have any type of video that you want to see. Tap that like button so the video reaches more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, bye for now.